Dracula by Bram Stoker, Chapter 10. Letter, Dr. Seward to Honourable Arthur Holmwood, 6th of September. My dear Art, my news today is not so good. Lucy this morning has gone back a bit. There is, however, one good thing which has arisen from it. Mrs. Westenra was naturally anxious concerning Lucy, and has consulted me professionally about her. I took advantage of the opportunity and told her that my old master, Van Helsing, the great specialist, was coming to stay with me, and that I would put her in his charge conjointly with myself, so now we can come and go without alarming her unduly. For a shock to her would mean sudden death, and this, in Lucy's weak condition, might be disastrous to her. We are hedged with difficulties, all of us, my poor old fellow, but please God, we shall come through them all right. If any need, I shall write, so that, if you do not hear from me, take it for granted that I am simply waiting for news. In haste, yours ever, John Seward. Dr. Seward's Diary, 7th of September. The first thing Van Helsing said to me when we met at Liverpool Street was, "Have you said anything to your old friend, the lover of her?" "No," I said. "I waited till I had seen you, as I said in my telegram. I wrote him a letter simply telling him that you were coming, as Miss Westenra was not so well, and that I should let him know, if need be." "Right, my friend," he said, "quite right. Better he not know as yet, perhaps he shall never know. I pray so, but if be needed, then he shall know all. And my good friend John, let me caution you. You deal with the madmen. All men are mad in some way or the other, and inasmuch as you deal discreetly with your madmen, so deal with God's madmen too, the rest of the world. You tell not your madmen what you do, nor why you do it. You tell them not what you think. So you shall keep knowledge in this place, where it may rest, where it may gather its kind around it and breed. You and I shall keep as yet what we know here." He touched me on the heart and on the forehead, and then touched himself the same way. I have for myself thoughts at the present. Later I shall unfold to you. "Why not now?" I asked. "It may do some good. We may arrive at some decision." He stopped and looked at me, and said, "My friend John, when the corn is grown, even before it has ripened, while the milk of its mother earth is in him, the sunshine has not yet begun to paint him with his gold, and the husbandman, he pull the ear and rub him between his rough hands, and blow away the green chaff, and say to you, 'Look, he's good corn, he will make good crop when the time comes.'" I did not see the application and told him so. For reply he reached over and took my ear in his hand and pulled it playfully, as he used to so long ago do at lectures, and said, "The good husbandman tell you so then because he knows, but not till then. But you do not find the good husbandman dig up his planted corn to see if he grow, for that is for the children who play at husbandry, and not for those who take it as of the work of their life. See you now, friend John, I have sown my corn, and nature has her work to do in making it sprout. If he sprout at all, there's some promise, and I'll wait till the ear begins to swell." He broke off, for he evidently saw that I understood. Then he went on, and very gravely, "You were always a careful student, and your case-book was ever more full than the rest. You were only student then, now you are master, and I trust that good habit have not failed. Remember, my friend, the knowledge is stronger than memory, and we should not trust the weaker. Even if you have kept the good practice, let me tell you that this case of our dear Miss is one that may be, mind, I say may be, of such interest to us and others, that all the rest may not make him kick the beam, as your people say. Take then good note of it, nothing is too small. I counsel you put down a record of even your doubts and surmises. Hereafter it may be of interest to you to see how true you guess. We learn from failures, not from success." When I described Lucy's symptoms, the same as before, but definitely more marked, he looked very grave, but he said nothing. He took with him a bag in which were many instruments and drugs, the ghastly paraphernalia of our beneficial trade, as he once called in one of his lectures the equipment of a professor of the healing craft. When we were shown in, Miss Westenra met us. She was alarmed, but not nearly so much as I expected to find her. Nature, in one of her beneficent moods, has ordained that even death has some antidote to his own terrors. Here, in a case where any shock may prove fatal, matters are so altered that, from some cause or other, the things are not personal. Even the terrible change in her daughter, to whom she is so attached, does not seem to reach her. It is something like the way Dame Nature gathers round a foreign body an envelope of some insensitive tissue which can protect from evil that which it would otherwise harm by contact. If this be an ordered selfishness, then we should pause before we condemn any one of the vice of egoism, for there may be deeper roots for its causes than we have knowledge of. I used my own knowledge of this phase of spiritual pathology, and laid down a rule that she should not be present with Lucy or think of her illness more than was absolutely required. She assented readily, so readily that I saw again the hand of nature fighting for life. Van Helsing and I were shown up to Lucy's room. If I was shocked when I saw her yesterday, I was horrified when I saw her today. She was ghastly, chalky pale, and the red seemed to have gone even from her lips and gums, and the bones of her face stood out prominently. Her breathing was painful to see or hear. Van Helsing's face grew set as marble, and his eyebrows converged, till they almost touched over his nose. Lucy lay motionless, and did not seem to have strength to speak, so for a while we were all silent. Then Van Helsing beckoned to me, and we went gently out of the room. The instant we had closed the door, he stepped quickly along the passage to the next door, which was open. Then he pulled me quickly in with him and closed the door. "My God," he said, "this is dreadful. There is no time to be lost. She will die for sheer want of blood, and to keep the heart's action as it should be, there must be a transfusion of blood at once. Is it you or me?" "I am younger and stronger, Professor. It must be me." "Then get ready at once. I will bring up my bag. I am prepared." I went downstairs with him, and we were going there just as there was a knock at the hall door. When we reached the hall, the maid had just opened the door, and Arthur was stepping quickly in. He rushed up to me, saying in an eager whisper, "Jack, I was so anxious. I read between the lines of your letter, and have been in agony. The Dad was better, so I ran down here to see for myself. Is that gentleman Dr. Van Helsing?" "I am so thankful to you, sir, for coming." When the Professor's eye had lit upon him, he had been angry at any interruption at such a time, but now, as he took in the stalwart proportions and recognized the strong young manhood which seemed to emanate from him, his eyes gleamed. Without a pause, he said to him gravely as he held out his hand, "Sir, you have come in time. You are the lover of our dear Miss. She is bad, very, very bad. Nay, my child, do not go like that," for he suddenly grew pale and sat down in the chair, almost fainting. "You are to help her. You cannot do more than any that live, and your courage is your best help." "What can I do?" asked Arthur hoarsely. "Tell me, I shall do it. My life is hers. I would give the last drop of my blood in aid of her body." The Professor has strongly humorous side, and I could from old detect a trace of its origin in his answer. "My young sir, I do not ask so much as that, not the last." "What shall I do?" There was fire in his eyes, and his open nostrils quivered with intent. Van Helsing slapped him on the shoulder. "Come," he said, "you are a man, and it is a man we want. You are better than me, better than my friend John." Arthur looked bewildered, and the Professor went on by explaining in a kindly way. "Young Miss is bad, very bad. She wants blood, and blood she must have or die. My friend John and I have consulted, and we are about to perform what we call transfusion of blood, to transfer from full veins of one to the empty veins which pine for him. John was to give his blood, as he is more young and strong than me." Here Arthur took my hand, and wrung it hard in silence. "But now you are here, and you are more good than us, old or young, who toil much in the world of thought. Our nerves are not so calm, and our blood not so bright than yours." Arthur turned to him and said, "If you only knew how gladly I would die for her, you would understand." He stopped, with a sort of choke in his voice. "Good boy," said Van Helsing. "You're not so far off. You will be happy that you have done all for her. Come now and be silent. You shall kiss her once before it is done, but then you must go, and you must leave at my sign. Say no word to Madame. You know how it is with her. There must be no shock. Any knowledge of this would be one. Come." We all went up to Lucy's room. Arthur, by direction, remained outside. Lucy turned her head and looked at us, but said nothing. She was not asleep. She was simply too weak to make the effort. Her eyes spoke to us, that was all. Van Helsing took some things from his bag and laid them on the table, out of sight. Then he mixed a narcotic and came over to the bed and said, cheerily, Now, little miss, here is your medicine. Drink it off like a good child. See, I lift you so that to swallow is easy. Yes, she had made the effort with success.